basically being trauma informed means that you realize that trauma is real and exists, so that it's not like, oh, kids are resilient. They don't even remember anything from all those family fights or that disaster or whatever happens. They're just going to put it right out of their mind. Science says otherwise. It's prevalent. The majority of us in our communities have experienced traumatic events or experiences in one way or another. Doesn't mean we've all been impacted the same. Doesn't mean that everybody has developed post-traumatic stress syndrome. But it does mean that there's a commonality of these events, that many of us have been impacted by them. So therefore, we want to recognize that the impacts of that are going to be part and parcel of our everyday lives, in our parenting, in our homes, in our schools, in our workplaces, in our community. And then we want to think about, well, how do we respond then, given that we've realized that prevalence and that we're recognizing that there are impacts from it? How might we respond? And I put here for healing, for bringing things back into balance. I mean, it's really what, if you have a traumatic experience, and even if you just want to conceptualize this for a moment of thinking about an upsetting experience. And if you think about that, it's like, okay, your heart races a little bit, maybe your throat gets a little tight, your mouth gets a little dry, your jaw might be clenching, you might be clenched here, and you're tightening up. And meanwhile, you've got adrenaline and other kinds of chemicals kind of flowing through you that are equipping you to do that basic fight, flight, flee, fight. What am I forgetting? Anyway, our sort of basic survival responses, right? Cora, what did I forget? Freeze, thank you. I froze.
And I've heard appease also is in there, and faint. There's all sorts of
right,
fun words in there.
exactly. But it's that basically it's like we're either going to fight, we're going to get out of here, or we're going to freeze and hide and make ourselves really small. So we all got that biology, right? And so our prefrontal cortex, all of our kind of human smarts help us to work with that and not be limited by that. But in the case of something really distressing, we are all going there, and we all have chemicals in our body, and they surge through there. So healing at a very minimum is processing those chemicals and getting them out of your system, whether it's by walking them out, whether it's by breathing, whether it's by drinking a lot of water and kind of cleansing your system, talking it through, that kind of venting kinds of things. That way, those experiences don't get stuck and those chemicals don't stay toxically circulating because their purpose is already expired. We want them to be moving on out. And then we want to really resist triggering people's trauma and resist re-traumatizing in that instant. And by this, I do not mean that we all have to walk on eggshells and help people avoid their experiences. We just want to be really mindful about, how did we respond? What do we say? How do we structure a situation, even a physical environment?